Good morning, and welcome to the U.S. Attorney's Office DJ Criminal Duty Matters e-filing pilot project demo. My name is Eric Wan, CMECF Application Administrator, and your presenter for the demo today. Also with us today, we have Kevin Reddick, Court Services Manager, Christopher Powers, Intake Work Leader, and Sarah Walsh, IT Supervisor, who will be assisting me to answer some of the questions that you may have regarding the DJ Criminal Duty Matters e-filing pilot project. Now, the date is fast approaching, so please mark your calendar starting November 2nd, 2020. All DJ Criminal Duty Matters must be electronically filed in CMECF. Filing a DJ Criminal Duty Matter electronic is quite easy, actually. It only takes 2 steps. First, you must open your case in CMECF to create a docket. Second, you e-file your document presenting your matter to the court. And we'll go into the details on how we go about doing these 2 steps shortly. Once you open your case and e-file your criminal duty matter, intake staff will assign a district judge to your case and then notify that judge's chamber staff for the filing. The filer himself or herself does not need to notify chambers or take any other action until and unless requested to do so by the assigned judge. The time it takes usually for intake to seal your case, grant seal access to the filing attorney if applicable, and assign a district judge to your case should only take about 20 minutes. An email will be sent to the attorney as well. If it has been more than 20 minutes and you have not yet received the email, and please contact intake. If you still have any questions or you need any assistance after reading the Criminal Duty Matters electronic filing manual, which will be posted online on October 27th, and you may contact the CMECF Help Desk at 213-894-0242. Let me share my screen with you here. Just one moment, please. So the user manual for the pilot project will be available online beginning October 27th. So if you go to the Central District U.S. Judge Court website and you hover the mouse over on e-filing and come down to select Criminal Duty Matters on the sub-menu. And the manual will be available beginning October 27th. Again, currently it's just the one for the MJ Duty Matters. But beginning October 27th, the revised version will be posted online and will be available for download. And if you have any questions, you need to contact the CMEC Help Desk. Go to the left and click on CMEC Help Desk. The contact information will be available here. You can do that by email. You can also do that by calling the phone number here as well. Again, it's 213-894-0242. Okay, we're now going to learn how to go about opening a case and e-filing a criminal duty matter. There are going to be a total of 4 modules in this demo. At the end of each module, we will take a break and answer your questions. So let's start with the first module here. Once you log into CMECF, you're going to notice on the right-hand side, you're going to see a new section called AUSA District Judge Criminal Duty Matters, under which you're going to find 3 new hyperlinks. Open a criminal miscellaneous CM case, District Judge Case Initiating Documents, and AUSA DJCR Duty Motion Filings. The first thing you need to do is to open your case. So what we're going to do, we're going to open our own case here. We're going to click on the first blue hyperlink called Open a Criminal Miscellaneous CM Case. Throughout the case opening sequence, there will be display messages. Please make sure you read the messages there. These are messages with vital information and perhaps with instruction to assist you in opening a case properly. Here it says, are you attempting to submit a criminal duty matter for review by a district judge? This event may only be used to submit a criminal duty matter for review by a district judge. If you're attempting to submit a criminal duty matter for review by a magistrate judge, stop. Return to the criminal event screen, look for the AUSA Magistrate Judge Criminal Duty Matters menu, and choose Open a Magistrate Judge MJ case. If your filing is directed to a district judge, click Next to continue. If this is a matter to be submitted before the district judge, which we are, we're going to click Next. And more messages here. And on this screen, it reminds you on the next screen, you will be prompted to select values for the office, case type, and county fields. For the office field, select the appropriate Central District of California Office Division. The office code coincides with the location of the AUSA filer. If the AUSA is located in the Western Division USAO, select Western Division Los Angeles. If the AUSA is located in the Eastern Division USAO, select Eastern Division Riverside. If the AUSA is located in the Southern Division USAO, select Southern Division Santa Ana. The case type field will default to CM and do not change the selection. Choose the option in the county field that matches the selection made in the office field. Leave the other court name and other court number fields blank. So here we're going to go to the next screen and we're going to follow these instructions here on the next screen. So for the office, you have three options here: Western Division, Los Angeles, Eastern Division, Riverside, and Southern Division, Santa Ana. So the instructions on the previous screen tells you that you're supposed to select the division for the filing AUSA's office, or for the duty judge who will be handling the matter if it's different. So in this case, we're going to pick Los Angeles, saying that AUS is from the Los Angeles office. And we're not supposed to change a case type. The default selected is fine as CM for criminal miscellaneous. And the date file would be today's date, and you cannot change it. And for county information, you should make the same selection as the selection made in the office field. So in this case, we select Los Angeles. We're going to select Los Angeles. If you select the Eastern Division, for example, then you will select Riverside. If you select Santa Ana, Southern Division Santa Ana, then you will select Orange. So here I'm going to change it back to Los Angeles office. So I'm going to make the same selection here for county Los Angeles. And we are supposed to leave the other court information blank. We're not going to fill in the name, nor we're going to enter the number if there's any. So typically on the screen, you're only making two selections, office and county, because you don't change the selection for case type. We're going to go next after making those two selections. Okay, more messages. And the message here reminds you on the following screens, you will be prompted to enter the defense information. Important note, on the party information screen, do not alter any pre-populated fields or enter any new information. After reading the messages here, we're going to go to the next screen. We're supposed to enter the defendant information. And in this case, there are 4 generic names that you have to choose from for all your filings. The reason why, because when you open your case, the case is not sealed for a brief time until Intake seals the case and grants you access to the filing attorney. So for a brief moment, the case is actually available in PACER. So any sensitive information or confidential information should not be actually made available online in PACER. So make sure that you use just one of these 4 designated generic names. Let me go over them one by one. We're going to skip the first one here. We're going to start with the second one. The generic name grand jury proceedings would only be used if you have a notice of grand jury impanelment filing. And the generic name forfeiture extension stipulation will only be used if you have a stipulation to extend time to file a forfeiture complaint. The generic name leave to practice will only be used when you have an application for leave of court to practice under the local rule 83-2.1.4.1. So those are the specific generic names to be used for the specific types of filings. The first one here that we just skipped earlier, DJCR duty matters, is to be used for everything else other than the 3 designated filings below. So in other words, if you have a grand jury proceeding, you're not going to use that. You have a stipulation for extension of time to file a forfeiture complaint, you're not going to use that. If you have an application for leave to practice before the court, you're not going to use that. But for example, if you have an application for a wiretap interception, yes, in that case, you will use DJ criminal duty matter. This is more like a generic name for the everything else other than the other 3 designated filings. So for our exercise, we're going to have a, let's say, wiretap application. So you're going to enter the name to search. By doing that, you're going to enter the generic name in the last name field. So enter other in the last name field and click search. And the first time when you filed it, the generic name may not in the system, but if this is the second time you're doing that, the second day, perhaps after someone else already done the same filing the day before, you should see a generic name available in the search results. So whenever there's a generic name in the search results, you do not create a new name, because otherwise you're going to start creating a long list of names, and it will be rather confusing to look at and for you to scroll through them. So in this case, I'm going to click the one that is already in the search results, which is the one I created earlier. And once you select the name in the search results, you're going to click select party to select the name. And if you all remember the messages on the previous screens that tells you not to alter any information on this party information screen or add any additional information, this is a screen it was telling you. So in this case, the role would be the correct role for the defendant. And the pro se would be note, don't change it. It will be defendant number 1. And the start date would be today's date, and don't change the date. It will be today's date, the default date. And corporation would be no, and notice would be yes. So none of this pre-populated information should be changed, nor are you going to add any new information. So all you have to do on the screen is to click add party. Once you click the add party button, now you see the party is now added to the tree on the left-hand side. And this is all you have to do. You only add one of the 4, using one of the 4 designated generic names to add your defendant to this case. Once you finish adding your defendant, then you're going to proceed clicking on this create case button on the top of the tree. And the system now wants to confirm whether you want to proceed adding, creating the case. Unless you have a reason to go back and make any changes, otherwise you can click yes. And that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to say yes to create a case. More messages again. Make note that this is your case number assigned to your case that you just opened. And the message is here, and you need to read the messages. And it says the new case number you are given on the screen must be entered on all documents filed with the court in this case. Remember to format the case number correctly. However, you will need to add the case type CM and the office code for the division you selected from the office drop-down menu earlier to the case number as it appears on the screen. Office codes are as follows: 2 for Western Division, 5 for the Eastern Division, and 8 for the Southern Division. For example, if you receive case number 20-1 and the office code you selected from the office drop-down menu is Western Division, Los Angeles, then the full case number would be 2:20-CM-00001. In my case, the full case number for my case would be 2:20-CM-00032. And make sure you put this case number, the full case number, on all your documents before you upload them to CM. So make sure you do that. That's your signed case number. And the last message reminds you to docket the lead event. The lead event on top here, it does not work for your filing. So don't click on it. It will take you to somewhere else that is not appropriate for your filing. So here it reminds you to docket the lead event. Click criminal on the menu bar at the top of the screen. On the criminal event screen, under the AUSA District Judge Criminal Duty Matters category, click on District Judge Case Initiating Documents. This is not a hyperlink. So make sure you follow the instruction in this paragraph. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click criminal in the menu bar. And under AUSA District Judge Criminal Duty Matters, I'm going to click on the second blue hyperlink called District Judge Case Initiating Documents. If you open your case and immediately file your documents, the case number would be populated automatically by CM. If you come back hours later, perhaps you have done something else, running reports or filing documents on another case, you need to manually enter this case number yourself. Here, this is my case number. This is the case I want to file it in. I'm going to click next to submit my case. And look at the short title of the case and look at the case number, making sure that you're in the correct case. Go next here. Again, message is there for you to assist you with the docketing. So in this case, it says the events included in this category may only be used to file criminal duty matters directed to a district judge. Do not use these events if you're filing a matter directed to a magistrate judge. On the next screen, you'll be prompted to select the event appropriate for your filing from one of the following 4 events. Again, I'm going to skip the first one here. I'm going to start with the second one. If you have a notice of grand jury impanelment, you're going to select this event, notice of grand jury impanelment sealed. The word sealed at the end means that the event, once docketed, it automatically seals the docket entry. So the public does not get to see it. Keep in mind the docket is public for a brief moment until Intake goes in and seals the case. So this event, when you docket, it will seal the docket entry. So even though they can see the docket, they will not see the docket entry, let alone the document itself. It will not be available. And then the third event here, stipulation to extend time to file forfeiture complaint not sealed. This is the event to be used for filing your stipulation for extension of time for filing those forfeiture complaints. And it says not sealed at the end, meaning that the event does not seal the entry. So if your case is open, the docket entry will be on the docket. And the public, if they go to PACER and they're looking at that case, they will see the docket entry and also be able to view the document. And the fourth event here, application for leave of court to practice under local rule 83-2.1.4.1, not sealed. This event is to be used only to be used for applications, for leave of court to practice for the interns. So in this case, the event again, it would not automatically seal the docket entry. So the docket entry and the document both will be available in PACER. The first event here, application rate district judge criminal duty matter sealed. This event is like a generic event. So you would use this event if it has nothing to do with the other 3 designated types of filings below. If it's not for the grand jury, impanelment, it's not for the stipulation for extension of time, it's not for the application for leave of court to practice, then you would use this application event. This event will always seal the docket entry and the document, just like the notice of grand jury impanelment. So we have a wiretap application. It's not one of these events here. So I'm going to use this event here on the next screen. I'm going to select this event. I'm going to go and click next. And I'm going to select application rate district judge criminal duty matter sealed. The event is highlighted only because it's the first one on top. It doesn't mean that it's selected. So you have to click on it to select it. So in this case, I want to select the first event, application rate district judge criminal duty matter sealed. I'm going to have to click on it. And as soon as I do that, now you're going to see that the event has been moved to the selected event column. So that means the event has been selected. Now I'm going to go ahead and click next after selecting the event. It now prompts you to select the filer. And the government is the one filing the document. Here I'm going to select USA. plaintiff and go next. And there's a message here. It says, AUSA is filing criminal duty matters for us. Just click next. That's true. If you want to, you can also designate yourself, the filing attorney, as a lead counsel. That's fine. But that's what you can do. In addition of these two checkboxes, they are pre-selected by default. You would never want to deselect any one of these, okay? This checkbox means that the USA will be associated to the filer, meaning the USA. So you want the attorney to be associated to the USA. So when it comes time for intake to grant access, the attorney would be already on the docket. And you also want to leave the notice piece actually checked because you want to receive electronic notices. If you uncheck it, even though you are associated to the filer on the docket, you are not going to get any electronic notifications. So those two checkboxes should be left alone and not to be unchecked. And the only option is if you want to designate yourself as a lead attorney, you can do so. I'm just going to click check here, the lead checkbox here, so you can see it on the docket later when I'm going to show you the docket. But it's optional. You don't have to if you don't want to. I'm going to click check the lead box here and go next. On the screen, it reminds you, upload the application in the main document section, upload the proposed order in the attachments one section, and if applicable, upload any supporting documents in the other attachment sections. Other documents such as an application for leave to file under seal should not be electronic file. Should be electronically filed separately using the events designated for those documents. So on this screen, I'm going to attach my application for the YTAP, also attach my proposed order. If there are any supporting documents for the application for the YTAP in this case, I can also attach them under the other attachment sections. So first, I'm going to click on the main documents, my application. I'm going to click browse to browse for my main document. I'm just going to attach, this is a bogus document, it's not for real, but let's just say this is my main document, my application. I'm going to select my main document, just navigate to the folder where you have the document saved to, and then click on the document and click open. And now you see the file name showing up here. That's the name of the document, whatever the document name that you assigned to that document. Might happen to be called main document. And now I'm going to attach my proposed order. I'm going to do that under attachments, one section. I'm going to click browse here and click proposed order. That's my proposed order. And click open to upload it. And make sure you see the file name of your proposed document. Unlike the main document, your attachments requires that each one of the attachments requires you have a category and or description is required. If you simply click next without selecting a category or describing the document in your own words, then reminds you, you must do that. Please select a category, provide a description of attachment 1. So in this case, I do have a category. These are basically predefined labels. It basically allows you to select them without having to kind of type your own descriptions. But if you prefer to type it out yourself, that's fine. And you can also select a category and put in your own wording to describe it further, like exhibits perhaps. But in this case, I'm going to just select category, proposed order to go along with my attachment. If you have other attachments, then you can click browse next to 2 to attach your other supporting documents. The new General Order 20-13 that's going to come out is going to waive the filing of the CR-15, which is the Notice of District Court of Related Criminal Duty filing. The CR-15 will no longer be needed. So but if you want to, certainly, yes, you can do that, but it's not required by the new Local Rule 20-13. Let's say in our exercise here, we just have an application and a proposed order. I don't have any other attachments supporting documents. So here I'm going to click next. Because we selected a generic event, so the system allows you to specify, the additional information that you want to provide to the court, the relief sought in the application. whatever that is. So in my exercises for the wiretap, I'm going to put all this highlighted text for an order authorizing the interception of wire and electronic communications in this text box. And it is required, and you cannot skip past it. So if you're trying to click next without providing that piece of information, it will tell you the type of relief needs to be specified. Please use the back button on your browser to return to the previous screen and enter the missing information that's requested. So in this case, I would have to click the back button on the browser, like I suggested, and go back and enter the missing information. And this is what I did. And enter the information from the application. Basically, that information will be in your caption, the title of your document. And once you have done that, go next. On this screen, you get to preview the Docket text. So without making any changes, it says application for an order authorizing interception of wire and electronic communications filed by the plaintiff US 8, and also showed because you have attachments, a proposed order, because you've done it correctly with the attorney association screen. So it now tells you attorney so-and-so added to party USA plaintiff and the attorney's name filing the application. On this screen, this is what we call the modified docket text screen. If you want to, in the front, you get a drop down where you can select additional information. If you call your document the first application, for example, then you can just select first, but it's optional unless you specify in your document, unless you want to include that specific information in your docket entry, you don't have to, it's optional. The text box here is also optional. It provides you the opportunity to enter additional text for your filing. Let's say you want to include, just for an example, let's say I'm going to say memorandum of points and authority. And let's see what it looks like. So let's say this is what I want. I want to include additional specifics in the text box, but I don't want to include the predefined label because I don't have one on my document. When you go next, this is the last reviewed, and it will show the docket text application for or authorized interception of wire electronic communications. Anything that you enter in the text box will appear in italic, memorandum of points and authority, filed by plaintiff USA, and attachments information and the attorney association information and the filing attorney's name at the end. And you also get to see the file names here for your documents that you have uploaded. And like I said before, this is optional, so I'm going to take it out. But like I said, if you want to, you can always include additional specific in the information in this text box. I'm going to do without here. All right, this is a point of no return. Review the information. If everything is okay with you, you have uploaded the correct documents, you have used the correct events, everything looks good to you, click next. Your document has been submitted. This is the NEF. So the attorney will be getting a notice, an email, a redacted NEF, and then they will be, they will be getting NEF from this case because the docket entry is sealed, so they will be getting the redacted NEFs. Just for illustration purposes, I'm going to bring up the docket so we can take a quick look at this. Like I mentioned earlier, when you open the case is unsealed for a brief moment until Intake seals the case and grants seal access to the filing attorney. So the shell case will show in PACER. If someone viewed the case in PACER, they can see the case. The case will only show the generic name, and that's why it's important that you use one of those 4 designated generic names and not to put the actual information that you have in the actual document, whatever that is. Yes, it will show the attorney's information because the attorney was associated to the case based on the filing that he just submitted, the application for the wiretap interception. But the docket entry itself and the documents are nowhere to be found here. It's protected. You don't always have one, but we're going to go through the demo on, let's say you have an application for selling the documents, okay? So in this case, we're going to go back and file the second document. You may or may not have this filing, but if you do have an application for selling documents, then you do that as a second filing. So in this case, we're going to go back to criminal. And this time under AUSA, District Judge Criminal Duty Matters, we're going to click on the third hyperlink called AUSA DJCR Duty Motion Filings. So you're going to file all your case initiating documents under this AUSA District Judge Criminal Duty Matters section. You're not going to go to somewhere else. Let's say, for example, oh, this is an application, a motion. Should I file it under motion and related filings? No, you're going to stay in this section. You're going to stay in this area. You're going to file all your case initiating documents using the available hyperlinks, the manual options that you see here. For the motion or the application, we're going to click AUSA DJCR Duty Motion Filings. And it remembers my case number, which is the correct case number. And the set and next and clear button serve no purposes other than for you to review the case number on top and to look at the short title of the case, making sure that you are actually in the correct case. We go next. And for those who've been doing e-filings, they probably kind of familiar with this screen for filing motions, moving documents, not a motion, this case in the application. So it tells you select the description that best matches the title if you're moving document. If you call it an application, you select application. If you call it ex parte application, call ex parte. If you call it motion, so be it, select motion. Or if you call it request, select request. I'm going to select an application here. And the only event available is seal AUSA CR duty document. It does not match perhaps the title of your document, but this event is to seal your DJ criminal duty documents, the case initiating documents. So this is the correct event to use for sealing your duty DJ documents. So I'm gonna have to click to select it in order to move it to the select events column. And now I'm gonna click next to proceed forward with the filing. Again, you're prompted to select the filer, and you probably noticed it. The defendant DJCR duty matter is graded out because we did the application earlier, and you already associate the attorney to the plaintiff. So in this case, you would not be able to associate yourself to the defendant. So it's basically a safety check. So in this case, you have no option, but that's the correct option. But to select USA plaintiff, which is the correct option anyway. And then click next. The message on this screen again reminds you, upload the application in the main document section and upload the proposed order to your application in the attachments 1 section. So I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to click browse on the main document. And I'm going to attach my application for selling documents here. Happen to be called main document again. And I have a proposed order. So under attachments 1, I'm going to click browse and attach my proposed order here. And with all attachments, you have to provide a category and or description. I'm going to select a category. And next. Those are the only 2 documents I have for this application. On this screen, you always bypass it. It does not apply to your filing. It's not required, and you don't have a hearing. You don't need to set a hearing before the judge. Just click next to bypass it. Similar to the application for the YTAP application, you do have a drop down where you can select a label to go with your application should you choose one. That's fine. And you also have a free text box to provide additional specifics if you do want to include the information for the judge to review. But the judge is actually going to review the actual documents that you upload. I'm not going to make any changes on the screen. The docket text is going to be application to seal criminal duty document filed by Plaintiff USA, and an attachment and the name of the attorney. Okay, I'm going to go to the next screen, the point of no return here we talked about. And one last time to look at the docket text. And most importantly, make sure you have the correct documents uploaded. It's not too late. If you make a mistake, go back and make any changes as necessary. Or if you don't want to, you can always just basically start fresh, click criminal, and just start all over if you don't want to. This is the point of no return, like I said, and click next if you think everything's okay, or make corrections, go back and make any corrections as necessary, or start over. Here, I'm going to click next to submit. Everything looks good to me. Again, attorney will be getting an email for the redacted NEF. I'm going to go back to the docket and take a look one last time on this case. Again, I added a new filing, a docket entry on the docket, but it does not show up here. It's still the shell case. And typically within 20 minutes, intake will go in, basically seal the case, grant seal access to the filing attorney, and then assign a DJ, to the case, and they send an email to the attorney filing the matter, and then notify him of the case assignment. But in this case, the case is not sealed yet until intake goes in and sealed it. All right, now this will conclude the demo on the one of the 4 modules that we have. And what questions do you have? Okay.
Eric, this is Chris. I think there's a question about which event
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I think it's for like an ex parte application to extend a CAFRA deadline, and whether that's a stip or an ex parte, and then how it would be submitted if it were submitted as a new filing.
Yes. We have done research on this type of filings prior to making that configuration change in CM. I guess that is possible to have an ex parte application because the ones that we have seen so far, they all coming in as stipulations, and that's why we made the event as a stipulation. And we can revisit this. And if you do have an ex parte, go ahead and use the use this event here. Let me bring up the screen here. And since the designated event for extension of time for filing forfeiture complaint is this one, they are not seal matters. So I would suggest using the stipulation for now.
Eric, they're not seeing your screen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Let me share my screen one more time. Okay, so if you do have those extension, extension ex parte rather than extension stipulations, when we go live on November 2nd, go ahead and use the event stipulation to extend time to file forfeiture complaint, and I'll make a note of it. And we're gonna reevaluate, and we're gonna basically run a report to see how many times the an ex parte has been filed for extension of time for complaint. And then if we see a need for that, I'm also going to bring it to attention to the management, and we will probably be modifying the event stipulations to allow you to specify either as a stipulation or as an ex parte application. But the ones that we have seen coming in, they were all stipulations, and that's why we made the event as a stipulation rather than calling them a stipulation or ex parte application. And hopefully that will answer the question. But going live go live date of November 2nd, if you do an ex parte application for extension for a forfeiture complaint, and please use a stipulation event. I'll make a note of that, and then we'll look into this matter. Let me see. And second question here, is there a naming convention for the documents? No, not for the clerk's office, but keep in mind that the public, if the case is not sealed, if the docket entry is not sealed, the public get to see the NEF, the notice electronic filing, meaning that they can actually see the file name associated to the document. So if it's something that's sensitive, it's something that should be confidential, perhaps you want to kind of use like a generic naming convention so it does not reveal much information in PACER. But typically for sealed cases and sealed filings, it's not a concern because the case is actually sealed or the docket entries are sealed. And that means the public don't get to see the filings or the case at all, so they would not know the file names of these file documents. But if the case is not sealed, like the application for leave to practice, perhaps the file name will be available to the public if they want to look at the NEF, the notice electronic filing. And then we have another question. Do we have to email documents to a duty judge? No. This is the beauty of it. Unlike the MJ, you probably are familiar with the MJ one. After you open your case and file your application or the duty matter, and you don't have to do anything. You don't have to notify chambers. Intake will do that, unless and until chambers, the judge directed you to do so. Otherwise, it's not needed. Intake automatically will forward that information to chambers. So chamber staff would be notified of this filing, and the filing attorneys are not responsible doing that notifying chambers. I have another question here. Okay, the ex parte CAFRA extensions, the forfeiture complaints are typically also sealed. The stip event says not sealed. So the cases that we have reviewed both with legal, we did not see that, because all those stipulations that we came across, we didn't even come across any ex parte. They were not sealed. So we will need to bring this attention to management and also legal, and we will have to revisit this because if you're telling us that the stipulation is typically sealed, so are you saying that majority of the time that these extensions requests or ex parte or stipulations are sealed, but then sometimes they are not. So there would be occasions that the documents should not be sealed, but most of the time it's supposed to be sealed. Is that what you're telling me here? Because the examples that we gathered based on the research we did, we didn't come across anything that's sealed for those extensions stipulations.
Eric, I found I emailed you a sample that we can look at afterwards. Yeah, it looks like many of these are filed as a stipulation to extend the deadline for civil forfeiture, but there is a specific document type which is being referenced that is the ex parte application to extend. So those look like they are being filed under seal. So yeah, we have to make a provision for a different event or for the event to allow for the sealing. It seems like it's less common than the stipulations, but I sent you a sample that we can look at.
Okay, you know what? That is fine then. Okay, now I understand better. Okay, so going forward, starting November 2nd, if you have a stipulation and it's not sealed, you will continue using the designated event stipulation to extend time to file forfeiture complaint not sealed. But if you have an ex parte application for extension of time for filing forfeiture complaints that are sealed, then you would use this generic event, because this event will allow you to, in this case, to specify the title of your document. It will automatically seal the entry on the entry level, meaning both the entry and the document will be sealed. So that will take care of your ex parte application for forfeiture complaint extensions that are sealed. Because if you go through the filing sequence here, I'm going to select the application.
Hold on, Eric, you need to share your desktop again. I put up the splash screen.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, let me share my screen again. All right. So in this case, so for your ex partes that are sealed, you're going to select District Judge, Case Initiating Documents. And when you get to the screen where it prompts you for the event, you're going to select Application Rate District Judge Criminal Duty Matter Sealed. And the event will allow you to, I'm going to select the file here. So let's say this is to extend time. I'm going to upload the two documents here first. My application, ex parte application, and my proposed order. So this is where you're going to put in the specific information regarding your ex parte application that it should be sealed. So I just put to extend time to file forfeiture complaint, or whatever the wording that you want to include in the final text for the docket entry. So let me go to the next screen, so it probably looks better here. So it doesn't say ex parte, but that's fine. It's going to say application to extend time to file forfeiture complaint. And this event, whenever docketed, it will seal the filing on the entry level. So both the docket entry and the document, they both are sealed. So we don't need a new event for your ex parte for the forfeiture complaint extensions that are sealed. If you have a stipulation and for the forfeiture complaint that are not sealed, you can continue using the stipulation event here. If you have an ex parte application for the forfeiture complaint extension that are sealed, then you can use this application. I'm sorry. For the stipulation that are not sealed, and if you have an ex parte for the forfeiture complaint extension, you select this event here, application with District Judge Criminal Duty Matters sealed.
Yeah, so Eric, just to piggyback and to kind of provide some final clarification, I think, and you just explained that perfectly. I think it's important for everyone to see and understand we're trying to just have a handful of somewhat generic events. So when you have like a very specific filing, we're not going to have a specific event, you know, necessarily tailored exactly to that filing. So that's why the generic event is important, and you use the text box to explain, you know, what the actual filing is. The main thing is just make sure you're selecting a sealed event if you need to submit a sealed application. That way it's protected. That's really the biggest issue. You just want this protected when you file it. As far as like the text and everything like that goes, ultimately the document stands on its own. If something's a little off on the text on the docket, that's not going to impact the review of the application in order. It's still going to be processed by intake. It's still going to be sent to the judge. So just, it's important that you use the generic event that Eric just described for some of these, you know, really specific documents that don't, you know, necessarily obviously fall into one of these categories.
Thank you, Chris, for the clarification. All right. Let me see. We have more questions here. Okay. The next question, do we get a notice which district judge assigned to a CR duty matter that we e-filed? Yes, as soon intake finishes, if they need to seal the case, grant seal access, or they don't need to do that step, and they need to assign to a district judge. Once they finish doing that step, they will send an email to the filing attorney, let them know that the district judge has been assigned to your criminal duty matter. So you will get an email from intake. You will be notified. Let's see. I'm still reviewing the questions here. Here's another question. Ex parte application for order extending for a 60-day the deadline for providing notice administrative forfeiture pursuant to 18 U.S.C. Section 983 subsections A1C. This is always sealed. That's fine. Like Chris basically said, if you have any sealed matter, you always use the generic event, the application with district judge, and that event will always seal the filing, so that way nobody can see the docket entry, providing that the case just open is not sealed. It doesn't matter, it doesn't say ex parte application, the text is slightly off, but the document's gonna stand in this case. So anything other than those three designated events for the three designated types of filings, including the stipulation for the forfeiture extension, in this case, you always use the generic event, the one that we use to seal the docket entries, the district judge generic event that we have. And next question, does this also pertain with an already assigned case number? So there is a case that already has a case number. Can we file the through CEF? If I understand your question already, if the case was open on and after November 2nd, 2020, yes, you file your case initiating documents. You're also going to electronically file your subsequent documents on those cases electronically. I think your question is about those cases that were opened by the clerk's office prior to the November 2nd, 2020 date, and you don't have access to those cases. I believe, Chris, can you clarify for us? And the U.S. Attorney's Office can contact the criminal intake window and request to have access to those cases, grant access to those cases, so they can file those subsequent documents electronically in those previously filed cases prior to the November 2nd go live date. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. So if you have a case that is still ongoing, maybe it's a wiretap and there's extensions still happening on sealings and things like that, you can send an email to the criminal intake, the normal inbox that your office uses for us. Provide us the case number and the name of the filing AUSA and the prior judge who's been reviewing the documents. Kind of like if you were doing the CR15, kind of provide us the prior case info. That way we know which judge to assign and send it to, and we will grant that AUSA sealed access to the docket. We will add him or her to the docket and grant e-filing access. That way you can now e-file all of your future filings on a case that was filed prior to the actual pilot. So just send that email to intake and we'll facilitate that.
Thank you, Chris, for the clarification. This appears to be the last question. Is the AUSA the only one who may be notified of the DJ assignment? Oh, I think currently the intake is only sending the email to the AUSA. So I'm sorry, Chris, can you chime in on this one here? I don't know, do you also accommodate other supporting staff in the U.S. Attorney's Office or just to the filing AUSA?
It will just be the filing AUSA because that's we obtain that information from the docket. So the AUSA's CMECF, login and information is on the docket, and their phone number and email address as the assigned attorney. So that's the only information we have. So we take that email address from the docket. We'll add the AUSA as a CC on the email that we send to Chambers. So, but we're not going to be able to send it to anyone else because we don't have that information. So it has to go directly to the AUSA.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Chris. All right, this appears to be all the questions I have. No more questions coming in. So in that case, we can come back to it. You have other questions later, okay? So we're going to start with the second demo here on the second module here. And let me go ahead and bring this back here. And we're going to be opening the case, and we're going to be filing the notice of grand jury impanelment. And let me go back to the criminal event screen here. And then we need to first open the case like we did with the application for the wiretap interception. So we're going to click on Open a Criminal Miscellaneous CM Case under AUSA District Judge Criminal Duty Matters. And you're aware of these messages, and they are there for you, provide information for you, also provide instruction to assist you to go through the case opening sequence. So make sure you read them and just get familiar with these instructions and the messages. Since we have read it before, I'm just gonna pretend we just read it and click Next. And make sure that these instructions are really important. It tells you how to go about completing the case data on the next screen. So make sure you read the messages again. And we have read it before, so I'm going to basically click Next here to go to the next screen. And we know that on this screen here, we do not change the case type. The only thing you need to concern about is just the office and the county. And here I'm going to just leave it as Los Angeles. Let's say the filing attorney is from Los Angeles office. So in this case, the selection should correspond to the selection made in the office field. So I'm going to select Los Angeles too. And message to remind you what to do on the party information screen. We know what that is all about, and read the messages when you do it the first couple of times just to get yourself familiar with them. We're going to go next. And for the grand jury impanelment, the designated generic name is grand jury proceedings. So we're going to enter that generic name here in the last name field and click search like we did with the application earlier. And always select the generic name. Do not create new ones. And then click select after selecting the generic grand jury proceedings. And you do not want to alter or add any new information on this party information screen. I'm going to simply click next. Click add party. And the party will now be shown under the case participant tree on the left-hand side. All you have to do now, since you have your party, your defendant, you can click create case. And when the pop-up comes up, and click yes to confirm creating a case. And I guess most important thing for this exercise, again, is to make sure that you make note and jot down the case number, because you need to put the full case number on all your filings for this case before you upload them to CMECF. Now we're going to go back and file my notice of grand jury impanelment. So here I'm going to click criminal one more time. And under AUSA District Judge Criminal Duty Matters, I'm going to click on District Judge Case Initiating Documents, where I will find my event for my filing. And my correct case number entered. Review the case number and the short title above. Make sure you're in the correct case. And we're going to select this event on the next screen. Notice grand jury impanelment is always sealed. The event, once docketed, it automatically seals the entry. I'm going to go next and select the event. Notice grand jury impanelment sealed. Once you have done a couple and you realize that the process for filing is very much alike for all 4 different filings that we have, the 4 events that we have. Here we're going to select the filer. And because you're the first time filing this document, and the system does not currently have the attorney on the docket, it knows that the attorney is the one who is filing because the PACER, username, and the password the attorney used to log in to file the document. So it logins using the attorney's name here, and it sees the name of the attorney. So in this case, all you have to do, unless you want to click the lead checkbox, otherwise, all you have to do is just to click next. And for the notice grand jury impoundment, you have a different set of instructions. Read the instructions here. It says upload the notice grand jury impoundment in the main document sections. And then other documents should be filed separately using the event designated for those documents, should there be any. So here, I'm going to click on the main document, browse, and I'm going to attach my main document, the notice of grand jury impoundment. And since I don't have any other attachments, I'm done with it. You need at least 1 document. CM would not let you proceed without uploading at least 1 document. The very first document has to be the main document. Whichever document that is the main document, in this case, the notice grand jury impoundment, must be attached under the main document sections. You don't have to have attachments. These are optional. I'm gonna go next. Unlike the application, you don't get a drop-down in the front. However, you do have a free text box should you want to include any additional information that you think the judge would want to see in the docket entry. Otherwise, it's good the way it is. It says notice impoundment of grand jury filed by the USA and the attorney's name added to the plaintiff USA. Since I don't have an attachment, so you don't have the attachment descriptions and the filing attorney's name. Let me go to the next screen. This is the final docket text screen, and you get to see it one last time before you submit it. And this is the name of the file, name of the document. Make sure you have uploaded the correct document. And let's say I'm done here. Again, the attorney will be getting an email for the rejected NEF because the entry is sealed. The docket, however, is not. Similar to the application for wiretap interception, the shell case is available in PACER for a brief moment until it's sealed by intake. The docket entry is nowhere to be found on the docket. The public does not get to see it, and nor they will see the document. It's quite simple for the notice of grand jury impoundment. What questions do you have regarding this particular finding? Let me, all right. I'm not sure this pertains to the notice grand jury impoundment. I think it's probably for the application for the wiretap. The question is, on subsequent filings, do we use motion filings? If this is the wiretap application you're talking about, the case would have been sealed by intake, right? So if the case is sealed, once the case is sealed, and when you come back later and you file your subsequent document, let me bring back the screen here. You can see my CM desktop, and everything under the AUSA District Judge Criminal Duty Matters here, you can use it to file your subsequent documents if you want to, if the event's available. The reason why I said that, because if you docket using so far the application, just let me go through this real quick. I'm not going to attach all the documents. I'll just attach one so I can quickly go through the filing sequence here. So on this screen here, if you have an extension, you can come back and file your application. This is the, let's say, first extension, whatever. And you can say first application, you know, for an authorizing, and then you can put it in the text box. I don't know what you normally put in there, but I'm just going to put extension so you can see the effects, what it looks like on the docket entry itself. So it will say first application if that's what you want. And for an order authorizing, same thing here, interception of wire, electronic, whatever that you want to type in, you know, in the text box. And also on the modified docket text screen, if you want to include additional information such as extension. But again, this free text box here, you can type anything in here. So in other word, you can say application for extension of time, application for extension for whatever. So you can do that. And besides, you also get a free text box on this modified docket text screen. Should you want to include additional specifics. I'm not sure I answer your question though. Let me look at the question one more time.
Sorry, Eric, I went ahead and published that last one that you just answered. The question was on subsequent filings, do we use motion filings?
Okay, yeah, depending on what it is, because we're talking about application. So if this is an application for YTAP or other type of filings that require the use of that generic event, you can use the same event and to designate it as a subsequent filing. But you can certainly, if you don't find anything that you like under the AUSA District Judge Criminal Duty Matters, basically what it's designed for. You can select events from other areas that you think, you know, that would be appropriate. Keep in mind that if the case is sealed, everything is protected, even though the docket entry is not sealed. But you have to think about those instances where the case itself is not sealed. So would it be okay if the docket entry and the document will both be public? So in this case, you probably want to come back here, and if you selected your event, this event here, let me go back to the screen here, probably easy to look at. If you selected this event for your case initiating document, and you have a substitute document, it's called application, and you can come back here and select the same event. As that way, you guarantee that the entry will be sealed, and if the case is not sealed, but the case should be sealed for a wiretap application, so everything is protected. So you can come back and select the application. It's not treated as a motion filing per se, but it's treated as an application or ex parte application, whatever that you want to call it. But in this case, the event itself is called application. The docket text is going to say application, but we talked about this earlier. If you have an ex parte application, it's okay. The docket text is slightly off, but it's okay. The document has the correct information for the judge. Okay. Would we file 6E filings under the GJ proceedings or under DJ criminal duty? I don't know what 6E filings are. Kevin, do you know what 6E filings are?
I do not.
Okay. The person who submitted the question, can you clarify on that for me, please? And can you tell me what 6E filings? Because I don't know what they are. So I cannot really answer the question unless you can tell me what they are.
Eric,
I'm going to move to
Eric. I think they can clarify, but I think it's have something to do with the grand jury impanelment, and there's follow-up filings on disclosure of proceedings and things like that.
Okay, in that case, if Chris' interpretation is correct, in that case, the grand jury cases are always sealed, so it's protected. So if you have something that I don't know what it is, a disclosure, then in this case, let me see, I can find something called disclosure. I don't think it's one of these. We have we have an event stipulation for disclosure. I'm not sure if that's what it is. This is for regular motion for disclosure. And this is the one for the one that we haven't done yet, for non-disclosure of subpoenas. So in this case, typically, if you have an event that you don't find in CMECF, you can use a generic event. If it happens to be the event, the title of your document called disclosure or something, then you can use the event called under other filings, and the blue hyperlink called miscellaneous filings, non-motioned. Oh, I'm sorry. And use this miscellaneous document event. It's a generic event. It allows you to specify. I'm not going to worry about reading a message here, but I'm going to show you what it looks like, so that way you know what event to use. But do read the messages. Don't get me wrong. So here we're going to type whatever that is. So in this case, I can type and select the filer. I'm going to take you to the file, the modified Docket text screen. It allows linking if you want to. So the title of your document will appear here because it's a generic event. I happen to type disclosure. You can disclosure, whatever. But keep in mind that if this is truly a subsequent document and the case has been sealed, because when you open the case is not sealed, at least for up to 20 minutes or so until Intake goes in and seal the case. So do not file it immediately after. If this is part of the case initiating document to begin with, and I would not even suggest you doing that. Instead, if this is part of the case initiating document, not a true subsequent document, you would go back to this district judge case initiating documents and select notice grand jury impanelment, because that's your first document, your main document. And then on this screen, you would attach your notice grand jury impanelment. Because it's part of the case initiating documents, the disclosure, whatever that is, you do not need to docket them, simply attach them. I'm going to upload my disclosure here. Since I don't have a description for disclosure, I can describe it here. So I'm going to let you look at what it looks like here. So now it says notice of grand jury impanelment, notice impanelment of grand jury filed by the plaintiff US 8. It says attachment disclosure. So you do not docket those supporting documents for your case initiating document. You simply attach them. It's okay. But if truly a subsequent document, then yeah, sure, you can just go to criminal and find the appropriate event and docket it. If there's not one, then you select miscellaneous filing non-motion and select miscellaneous document, which is a generic event. But only use a generic event when there's not an appropriate event to use. Hopefully that answers your question. Question, notice of personnel receiving disclosure at grand jury matters.
Eric, I think that those two questions are they're being more specific with that third one there about the notice to the court of names of government personnel. So
I see.
I believe from the intake standpoint, so that's like an in re grand jury investigation, but there's a few different types of filings under 6C. I think that type of filing, if I'm not mistaken, typically will come in as just like a new criminal miscellaneous matter where we're just sending it to a duty judge. It's not like a grand jury chief judge matter, even though it says in re grand jury investigation. I think maybe some of, and I don't know if if confusion is the right word, but we have the grand jury impanelment event, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's really just to be used when a new grand jury is impaneled. Then that grand jury number is pulled there using that event, and then subsequent filings as far as maybe they need to appoint a new foreperson or dismiss a grand juror or something like that. That's what the grand jury impanelment event is really specific to. Is that correct, Eric?
Yes, correct. So if this notice of personnel receiving disclosure of grand jury matters is the case initiating document, let me bring up the screen here.
Yeah, so I don't believe that would be like the generic event or something like that. It's not really the grand
Yes.
jury impanelment.
So, all right, and let me, yeah, you're absolutely correct, Chris. So notice grand jury impanelment is only for those new grand jury matters in this case. So if it's not one of those, and it's not a stipulation for extension of time, it's not an application for leave, to practice, then everything else, even though it may not be an application, like in this case, is notice of grand jury, notice of personnel receiving disclosure grand jury matters, you're going to use the application event, application rate district judge criminal duty matters sealed. Think of it as an event, not as a description for your filing. This is just an event. And just like the generic event that we have for miscellaneous document, it's just the name of the event called miscellaneous document. Doesn't mean that that's the title of your document is called miscellaneous document. So yes, it does say application in the final docket text, but it's okay. And you do get the free text box. So if you want to clarify that this is a notice of personnel receiving disclosure grand jury matters, you can put that in that free text box to clarify that further. So that way it's still going to show up correctly in the final text. But anything other than these three designated filings, notice grand jury impanelment, stipulation for extension of time for filing forfeiture complaints, and application for leave of court to practice, you're going to use this generic event. And this event will always seal the docket entries, no matter what they are. Whether you have a wiretap application, or in this case, notice of personnel receiving, the grand jury matters, notice of grand jury matters, or whatever that is, the ex parte application for extension, for filing the forfeiture complaint, that should be sealed. So you're going to use this generic event, happen to be called application. Think of it just an event name, not so much as an application. And I hope that clarifies it. The reason why we started with this, because we want to provide you with a venue where you can file your documents without putting too much creating too many events for you. So this will cut it down for you to have a problem selecting events and also making mistakes. So other than the three designated types of filings here, everything else is going to be filed under application rate district judge. Criminal duty matters sealed. Everything else. Question here, 6E, notice to the court of names of government personnel receiving disclosure grand jury. Yes, that answered my question. Yes, thank you very much, Chris. So it appears to be those are the only questions we have received so far. Okay, if there are no more questions, let me go back to the third demo here. And the third one here we're going to do is the stipulation. The stipulation for extension of time. So here I'm going to go back to criminal. That's where you do all your filings and case openings. And we're going to first open the case before we can file that stipulation. So we are going to go back to the AUSA District Judge Criminal Duty Matters area and click on Open a Criminal Miscellaneous CM case. Same messages as before. And here, more messages. And we're going to leave the office as is for Los Angeles. We're going to change the county to match Los Angeles in the office field. And we're going to click next. And you know that message by heart now. So we're going to go next. And here for the stipulation for extension of time, the generic name is Forfeiture Extension Stipulation. So I'm going to enter all that in the last name field and click search. Always select the generic one from the search results if there's one. And do not make any changes on the party information screen. Everything should be fine the way they are. And all you have to do is to click Add Party to move the defendant to the tree on the left-hand side of your screen. And same as what we did with the other two cases, we have to edit our party. I'm going to create a case. I'm going to click Create Case. and then click yes to confirm creating the case. And my case number, make sure I have the full case number on all my documents. Now I'm gonna go back and file my stipulation. And under AUSA District Judge Criminal Duty Matters, we're gonna click on District Judge Case Initiating Documents. Enter the case number if you need to. Otherwise, CM populates the case number automatically for you. Make sure you have the correct case number up. And we are going to select this event on the next screen. Stipulation to extend time to file forfeiture complaint not sealed. If you have an ex parte that is sealed, use this event, application rate district judge criminal duty matter. This is a generic all event for everything else other than those three. Here we're going to select stipulation because that's what we have next. And I'm going to select stipulation to extend time to file forfeiture complaint not sealed. And the filer is the USA. And I'm not going to make any changes on the screen. And I'm associating myself to the filer AUSA. New set instructions. It says upload the stipulation in the main document section, upload the proposed order in the attachments 1 section, and if applicable, upload any supporting documents in the other attachments. Again, if you have any supporting document for case initiating documents, you don't need to docket them. You simply attach them under attachments, like it says here. Other documents should be electronically filed separately using the events designated for those documents, should you have any, but typically none. So in this case, I'm going to attach my stipulation. Happen to be called main document. And under attachments 1, I'm going to upload my proposed order. And I'm going to select proposed order under category. And those two are the only documents I have. I'm going to go next. Similar to the generic application event, you get to choose this label, any one of the labels available, or any additional specifics that you want to include for your final docket entry. Otherwise, it will read stipulation to extend time to file forfeiture complaint filed by Plaintiff USA. And it has attachment information and the attorney information and the attorney's name who filed this document. And the file name for the 2 documents that we have. Okay, let's say that's it. Everything looks good. I have the correct documents uploaded. I'm going to click next to submit and commit to the transaction here to the database. The attorney will receive an NEF, not redacted NEF, but NEF. The reason why, let me bring up the docket. Okay, I'm sorry, and there's a paste thing, so I have to log in. I guess I got timeout. All right. I'm going to run the docket sheet. I'm going to bring up the docket and take a look. Oh, no. This is the case that I just worked on. It's not a shell case because case is not sealed. Not only that, the case will not be sealed. This is not a sealed matter. So in this case, the short title of the case eventually will be assigned to a judge by intake. The defendant's name that we entered earlier when we opened the case. And the docket entry is on the docket because it's not sealed, like the application event that we did for the wiretap and like the grand jury impoundment that we did earlier. Those two are sealed automatically, but this one is not sealed. So entry is available in Pacer, and even though the case has not been assigned, it's available. The document, should I want to look at it, I can actually click the hyperlink here. And I can click on the document hyperlink to look at the main document and or the proposed order. I can also do the view all here or download all. Let's just do a view all here. It's not a real document, but the case in point here is the document is available to the public. The public gets to see this document immediately once they're available. So in this case, the case is not sealed. The docket is available and the docket entry is public. The document is also public. So this is basically what we have. Typically, that's what we have for a stipulation for extension of time when it's not sealed. And what questions do you have? There are no questions. Okay, you guys are following along. Okay, we're gonna come back, with more Q&A sessions. So in this case, I'm gonna move along here. I'm gonna start with the last demo. The module on this case will be on. And the last one here, we're gonna be working on the application for leave a court to practice under the local rule. So here I'm gonna go back to criminal, and under AUSA District Judge Criminal Duty Matters, I'm gonna open my case. I'm gonna click open a criminal miscellaneous CM case. And read the messages. And more messages to read. I'm gonna leave the office for Los Angeles, saying that AUSA's location is in the Los Angeles office. I'm gonna do the same here for county and change it to Los Angeles to match the office selection. No need to change the case type like we did with the other three exercise. We're gonna go next after making those selections. Reminder regarding the party information screen and read the message. And the generic name here is leave to practice. I'm gonna go ahead and enter leave to practice in the last name field and click search. And it returns with one match. It's just a generic name. I'm gonna click on leave to practice from the search results and click select party to bring up the party information screen. Again, we don't make any changes on the screen. Simply click on add party. And if the party has been added to the case participant tree to the left on your screen, and now we're done adding the party, the only party that you will need to add. We're gonna click create case. And then on the pop-up when it comes up, and click yes to confirm creating the case. And my case number here, 20-35. Now I'm ready to file my documents, my case initiating documents. I'm gonna go back to criminal. And under AUSA again, District Judge Criminal Duty Matters, we're gonna select District Judge Case Initiating Documents one last time. Enter your case number if you need to, or CM populates the case number in that field for you automatically. It remembers it. Make sure you have the correct case number up. And we're gonna select the last event here, the fourth event called application for leave of court to practice under local rule 83-2.1.4.1, not sealed, on the next screen. So I'm going to select the event here, the application for leave of court to practice. and the event will not automatically seal the docket entry. And the filer is USA, the plaintiff. And again, when you want to be associated to the case, you want to also get notice. Don't make any changes here. And you can also select lead if you want to. I'm going to go next without making any changes on the screen. All right. Similar instructions. Upload the application in the main document section, upload the proposed order attachments one section, and if applicable, upload any supporting documents in the other attachment sections. Again, if you have any supporting documents for your case initiating documents, you are not to docket them. Just simply attach them as attachments. So in this case, I only have an application. I'm going to upload it on the main document. And also have a proposed order. I'm going to attach it under attachments 1. So you have additional supporting documents for the case initiating document, then you can click next to browse to and browse for other attachment perhaps. And make sure that you have to give each one of the attachments a category or provide a description for it. I'll just make it up. And let's say I have 3 documents, a supporting document along with the application and proposed order. This application, you don't have a label, so there's nothing for you to select in the front. It just says application for leave of court to practice under that local rule. You have a free text box where you can provide additional specifics for your docket entry should you want to include any additional information for the docket entry. It says filed by the plaintiff. It now shows additional information for my attachments, 2 attachments altogether, proposed order and a supporting document. If you don't have one, no need to worry about it. Just 2 documents. But if you have any supporting document for your case initiating documents, it doesn't matter if it's for your application for leave to practice or for your YTAP application. You're not going to docket them. You're not going to file them separately. You're simply going to attach those supporting documents to your main document as supporting documents. So they are just attachments. And your attorney association information and the name of the attorney here. Let me go to the next screen. And that's it. Make sure you have the correct documents attached. And let's say everything is okay on my end. I'm going to click next and commit it to the database. Now I have e-filed my document. I am going to get an email for the NEF, not an email with a rejected NEF because the entry is not sealed. Let me bring up the docket here so we can take a look. Actually. So you will able to see the docket in Pacer. The case is not sealed and it will not be sealed. And you also will see the docket entry for the application for leave to practice. You will be able to view the documents. You want to click on the document number hyperlink. And I can do that individually, one by one, or you can click on view all or download it if you want to. I'm just going to click on the first one, the main document, and view the document. As you can see, this is similar to the stipulation for extension of time for the forfeiture complaint. The entry is not sealed, the document is not sealed. So I can actually view the document, but this is not the real document, just a bogus document here. All right, and when I ran the docket, it was not selected by default. I selected this option, links to notice electronic filing. Reason why, if I select the option to include the link for the notice of electronic filing, after I run the report, I can click on the silver bar, which is the link to the NEF. And I get to specify to see the HTML version or the text version. and I usually like to see it in HTML version. And I click on display receipt. There I have it. The NEF is frozen in time, so it captures the docket text the moment that it was created. It tells you the time, the date and time it was submitted, and the file date when it was filed. But it was entered on that date at 11:33. And up here where the subject line is, it also shows the event docketed. So in this case, so you know what event is associated to the filing, what event that you select for the filing should you want to know. That's pretty much wrap up the training for the DJ criminal duty matters. What questions do you have for the DJ criminal duty matters? Okay, the question is, if we have subsequent stipulations, should those be filed under AUSA District Judge Criminal Duty Matters under motions? I assume that the stipulations you talk about is for the forfeiture complaint, right? Extensions, right? So if that's the case, you can go back to the AUSA District Judge Criminal Duty Matters and click on District Judge Case Initiating Documents. Let me get to the screen where right here. So in this case, if this is the one that you're talking about, you have a subsequent stipulation for extension of time to file forfeiture complaint. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. Then you can use this event category to go back and file your subsequent stipulation. And then you will select stipulation on the screen, and let me show you what it looks like. I'm going to just attach the main document. I'm not even going to do the proposed order here. I just wanted to show you on the screen. So on this screen, I don't know, that's something that you would do normally. Do you usually call it like, oh, second stipulation or whatever? Or perhaps you want to choose something else? I don't know. It is a renew application, or if you don't call it that way, you can leave it blank. But certainly you can use the same event to file your subsequent stipulation for extension of time for the forfeiture complaint. And if you don't want to select those labels here, you can also include a specific description here. If you want to include it, that's fine too. Second, stipulation or whatever, subsequent stipulation, whatever. So by no means I'm not asking you to do that. I'm just saying that, in that free text box, you can type whatever that you want to provide, to the judge as a means for clarification or provide more clarity or more information for the judge. But ultimately, the judge is going to review the document, not the docket entry or the docket text. But these options here, the label in front and the free text box here, will allow you to provide additional information to separate, to distinguish this filing from the case initiating document that you have, should you want to do that. But certainly you can use the same event under this category. But under circumstance that that we had, like for example, the one that we had earlier, if you don't think this is the one, the event that you should use, you can certainly use other events here. Keep in mind that if your case is not sealed, the document that you're about to file, is that supposed to be sealed? Ask that question. If it's not, then fine. Go under other filings and select stipulation. Pretty much you're getting the same result, okay? And if I go through this way, let me show you what it looks like, okay? I'm going to use a generic event here. I'm going to attach just the stip, no proposed order. Here allows you to specify whatever that is. So again, similar to the event that we looked at, under the DJ criminal duty matter section. So in this case, you still get those labels here. You get the free text box. So, but I would, if I were you, if this is actually a subsequent document for the stipulation for extension of time to file forfeiture complaint, I would go back here and file it rather than going to stipulations. As long as it's not sealed, you're fine doing either way. But I would probably prefer you doing this way, so that way you don't have to get out of the comfort zone saying that, well, this is AU district, judge matters. Should I do that? Yes, you certainly can reuse this event for your subsequent documents. You can reuse them, and they provide one advantage, so you know what you always get. This is not sealed. If you use this event, it's always sealed. This is a generic event. Okay, so hope that answered answers your question. The next question is, what is the motion filing option used for beside the sealing and other order for documents? Now, if these motions are case initiating documents, we're not talking about, because typically, like I said earlier, we actually research and determine that those case initiating documents, they always come in either as, let me bring up the screen again, as these types of filings, or for everything else, doesn't matter what they're called, applications, motions, ex parte applications, request, petition, perhaps, you're going to use this generic event for all those other filings. It will automatically seal those documents on the entry level. So that event name is application. So your motion, if it's a case initiating document, and in this case, you would use this event, application rate district judge criminal duty matter sealed. Now, I don't know, you have a concern because it's sealed, because you may not have a sealed matter. Should it comes to that, okay? Should it comes to that, if it's not sealed, we can go in and unseal the case and then seal the docket entry, which also unseals the document. But this event, keep in mind that no matter what it is, you can disregard the word application. It's just a generic. We can call it district judge criminal duty matter if that bothers you. But in this case, the application with district judge criminal duty matter event is just generic event. It will always sealed. So in this case, keep in mind that you use this event when it has nothing to do with these three other types of filings. Whenever you have anything other than those three other types of filings, you're going to use the application with district judge criminal duty matter. If it's a subsequent document that you're talking about, it's not a case initiating document, then you can select under motions and related filings and select the hyperlink applications, ex parte applications, motions, requests. The only motion filing we have under AUSA DJ CR duty motion filings is just this one. It's for filing DJ duty matters under sealed. It's sealed AUSA CR duty document. It's just this one. I hope that answered your question. And the next question, or do we serve the file step to claimants counsel ourselves? Okay. Whatever you've been doing, you will continue doing that. Other than the AUSA who filed the case initiating documents will be served electronically, whether it's a redacted NEF because the docket entry is sealed, or the docket entry is not sealed, like a stipulation for extension of time. The NEF will only go to the filing attorney. So whatever you're currently doing with those filings, if you are manually serving the claimants, you will continue doing that. CM does not know those other parties, because keep in mind that we're using generic names. They are not actual parties on the case, so they are not getting served electronically. Next question: if we file a stipulation for extension of time for forfeiture complaint, will the names of the claimant attorneys who signed the stipulation be added to the docket and receive ECF notice of the filing? We are not doing that now, and we're not doing that going forward. So in this case, so you will continue doing what you've been doing, like I said, currently. So you will have to serve them because CM does not serve them electronically. And the next question, so the initiating documents option is not for just the first documents filed in the case. It can be used with subsequent documents filings. Yes, you can certainly reuse those documents, events for those subsequent documents. But if you find that if you have just a motion, but it's not a motion case initiating document, but it's just a motion of something else, I don't even know what that is to begin with. Like I said earlier, let me bring up CM again. On the criminal event screen for any subsequent documents, if you find the events available under this section, AUSA District Judge Criminal Duty Matters, do not work for you, you can certainly use any of these other events available to you as an attorney, except the proposed order. That's just basically how you email chambers, but that's not the case here. So you can certainly use, any of these available events here for your subsequent documents. I'm sorry, not this one. This is for MJ. So you can certainly use these events here for your subsequent document filings, but you can reuse them for some of the documents that you filed, like the application for extension for perhaps a YTAP application. You can reuse this event. And it would be best using this event because it will seal the entry on the document on the entry level. Hi, Chris, you have
Hey, Eric, yeah, I just wanted to kind of piggyback on that question with, I think a lot of the subsequent filings that are submitted are often submitted as ex parte applications. So what would be, there's not really a lot of motions filed on these because they're not setting hearings and things like that. They're more ex parte. So what would be your suggestion, just to go back to this initial event you're talking about?
Are these ex parte applications? To be filed in sealed cases or non-sealed cases?
Probably more so sealed cases. The majority of the criminal miscellaneous filings are sealed.
Can you tell me, give me one example so I kind of picture it in my mind? Ex parte application for.
Well, so it'd be like the like something we talked about earlier, like those Rule 60 things, like the disclosure of like grand juror information filed as I think sometimes that might be submitted as a subsequent filing. Or maybe let's say in a grand jury impanelment case, maybe there's an ex parte app to appoint a new juror.
Okay. Folks, I think the question here, I can answer better if I can actually show you what happens on the sealed case. So just bear with me here for a moment, okay? Let me go and just seal the case up, and I'll bring it up here so you can tell, because I have to grant access to myself in order to be able to show you what it looks like. So just stay online here for a couple of minutes, and while I'm doing this, okay? I'm going to move this off screen here so you won't see it though. Okay, thank you for your patience. I'm back. Let me log into Pacer here. Just one moment. Okay, I'm gonna bring up this docket here. Is the YTAP case that we first worked on. Case number CM32. My bad. All right, so the case is now sealed. And as the filing attorney on the case, I have access to the document. I still have access because I was granted access. So if I were to click on the hyperlink, I can see this document here. It tells you it's sealed, but I can see it because sealed access was granted. Okay, so the question here is, if you can reuse this events here under AUSA District Judge Criminal Duty Matters, I would suggest you use the District Judge Criminal Case Initiating Documents event. But if you have a document, a subsequent document that you think is not it's not as a good idea to use the application event, then you can always use any of these events here. If you had a motion, a subsequent document motion for disclosure or something, I don't know if that's what you have, then you can certainly do this. All these events available to you as an attorney, these events available to you as a participant for the participating attorney for the DJ Criminal Duty Matters. And these are the events that will be available to you if you're a participating attorney to the MJ Criminal Duty Matter. For attorneys, including AUSA, they would have access to all these events. So if you don't find the event under District Judge Case Initiating Documents as appropriate to use because it's a motion for disclosure, then you have to ask yourself a question. So you can certainly use any of these events here. And let me click on Applications, Ex parte Applications, Motions, Requests. Let me enter that YTAP application number here. This is the number. On this screen, you won't see it here. Once you click next, the system will validate the case number to make sure it's a valid case number, and it will display the case number link and the short title. It's not so much about the word sealed here is the word sealed inside of a pair of asterisks, okay? So that tells you the case is sealed. So when you file anything in the case that is sealed, no matter whether the document that you file is sealed or not, is protected. So in this case, if I go in and file that, let's say I'm going to just do a disclosure. I'm going to attach a bogus document. I don't know. I'm not an attorney, so I'll make it up. Okay, don't laugh at me. I'm going to say discovery. I'm not going to send a motion before the judge. So I'm going to leave it as yes. Whether you send a motion or not before the judge is always going to say notice of motion and motion for whatever that you type in that field. Disclosure. Let me go fix it a little here. Discovery. So now it says notice motion and motion for disclosure discovery and filed by the plaintiff. I'm going to submit it. And I'm going to submit it here. I'm going to bring up the docket. This entry is not sealed because it was programmed to do that on the entry level. It was sealed because the case is sealed. So if I'm the filing attorney who was granted seal access, I can see the docket with the docket entries. If I'm another AUSA, but I'm not the AUSA on the case, when I log in, I cannot even see the case to begin with because the case is sealed. And let alone to do subsequent docketing because you have to be granted access in order to e-file in a sealed case. So in this case, the filing attorney, the attorney on the case, will be able to e-file subsequent documents. But any other attorneys who are not part of the case, they cannot e-file subsequent documents in a sealed case. I can view the sealed document. It's not sealed because the event seals it. It's sealed because the case is sealed. Let me show you what it looks like. It tells you it is a sealed document, not the event itself, but on the case level. But I can see it nonetheless. So I'm not sure I answered the question. You can always select the event, reuse the event from the DJ criminal duty matter section. If you find that it's more appropriate to use the event from the other sections, like for example, from the motions and related findings, you can use any of those for your subsequent documents. But keep in mind that if the document is supposed to be sealed and the case is not sealed, it's not going to be protected. But yes, you do have the option to file all the documents using any of these events, subsequent documents.
Eric, I think that answered like the clarification I was trying to make, because I got the sense that there was a little bit of a question of more of like the subsequent filing events. So like I'd said, with the CM cases, there's a lot of ex parte application. So I think the clarification is yes, like you pointed out, they can use the regular ex parte application events as opposed to having to go to the DJ duty filing events. There's not going to be like a specific duty event for an ex parte application for the excusal of a grand juror or for filing of a 15-day report or something like that. They can use a normal ex parte event, text in what it is.
You're absolutely correct. Yeah. So if you file on a grand jury matter, the case is sealed, then it doesn't matter. Everything is sealed. So your docket entry goes on the docket and is sealed and protected. If the case is for something else that's not protected, like a stipulation for extension, time for the forfeiture complaint, yeah, then it will be public. But probably not a concern though on a stipulation, so that's fine. So you're not restricted to use these events for subsequent documents. No, certainly not. You can use any of the available events for you to use for subsequent documents, any of them. And I see that that's all the questions that we have. All right, I'm going to give it another minute because we have a slight delay on your end. So I'm just give you another minute or two and see if we have more questions. And again, if you have any questions or you need assistance, after reviewing the case opening user manual, for the DJ criminal duty matter, please contact the help desk, and the phone number on the screen right now is 213-894-0242, and between the hours 8 a.m. in the morning to 5 p.m. in the afternoon. And you can also certainly email us using the email address ecf-helpdesk@cacd.uscourts.gov. All right. I guess that's all the questions you folks have. And thank you all for attending this Microsoft Teams live event today. I hope that you will find this training demo helpful and have great success in filing all your DJ criminal duty matters in the future. And once again, thank you.